Hey everybody, it's me Ali. I hope you're having a great week. I know we missed the last couple episodes on Tuesday and Thursday, but I'm here to kind of say, hey, I'm still here. So basically, yeah, I'm trying to aim for 2 episodes a week, but this week I actually had a lot of things come up, especially like doing a lot of panel work and a lot of writing. As some of you know, I'm working on a book project on Black women AIDS activists. So we need to get like a full manuscript to the publishing company in a couple weeks, and I'm basically hard at work just trying to get this done. So with that said, hopefully, if scheduling is a little spotty, um, I'm going to do the best that I can, but bear with me, and I'm still here, and we're still going to at least, meet for a little bit of each week, and we'll be able to kind of, hang out and chill and talk a little bit. So, with that said, today I want to talk about a couple things, and namely, I want to talk about my experience growing up in Orange County. Now, I talked about Orange County a lot when I go on podcasts and when I go on other interviews and stuff like that, but I never really talk about like what it's like growing up and living here. So I want to actually touch base and really kind of get you sort of a firsthand account of like what it's like living here. And this county has a very specifically conservative reputation, and I want to sort of add my spiel on that. And so hopefully we can talk about that today. But before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully you'll hear more from me and we will get to know each other better. So, with that said, let's kind of start our talk. So, pretty much in every interview I've done, I talk about living in Orange County, which, for those of you who don't know, Orange County is the conservative part of California. Now, it's home to places like Disneyland, and we have our beaches, and the problem is that even California has this sort of liberal reputation. What happens is Orange County is the place where we have huge numbers of conservative folks, huge numbers of anti-vax folks, and even like this year, Orange County, especially Huntington Beach, has been home to a lot of the anti-mask, anti-lockdown protests. So with that said, I mean, it's been kind of strange going up here because the reason why I think Orange County is getting this reputation that it's getting is because I think a lot of the people in charge are not letting it grow and develop into a more urban area that specifically caters to, small businesses that are very hip and fun. And, there aren't that many like LGBT and queer institutions here. Like, I think we had one or two in the past and they just kind of like disappeared. So it's kind of sad and it's kind of unfortunate, but it's kind of really weird too because like Orange County is kind of home to a couple other communities like the punk community, the goth community, and a whole bunch of other kind of, sort of out there in alternative spaces. It's just never expressed in areas that are sort of mainstream uh, like, so for example in LA, like, I mean, you have so many different kinds of people living there in different kind of communities. There's tons of LGBT establishments, et cetera, et cetera. um, Granted, the pandemic kind of like wiped some of them out, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, at least they have that space. So I don't know. Like, I don't know why this county is so historically conservative. And like, part of me just thinks, it's because of the politics that are just super conservative here. And like, the people in power that are here basically just kind of never die. And they just kind of age into a more conservative kind of framework where a lot of the things that they do are very like regressive. Like, I know, like, I remember Fullerton, like, and their city council having a lot of quarrels about actually having the school board acknowledge Black Lives Matter, which was very weird and very annoying, um, because it's something that should be acknowledged. So, I mean, it's just kind of a situation where like they have some elements that are progressive-ish, especially with those communities like the goth community and the punk community that we kind of have. But then at the same time, it's kind of home to a lot of the people that are very unfortunately conservative. Now, I think for me, like, I mean, growing up, like, I didn't know how conservative the county was so much as I just felt like I wasn't really kind of able to kind of explore who I was here. Okay. Like, I really wasn't in a position where I can kind of say, like, hey, I never really was able to kind of fit in because it's such a boring lifestyle. Like, there really isn't that much to do here. And I just wanted to explore places like LA and San Francisco. And I remember when I moved to San Francisco for a couple years, like, I kind of got that experience of, a big city with lots of things happening. And I think again, it's because some of the politics here don't let certain things happen. And so because like they don't let certain things happen, then like basically, you can't build businesses that really can cater to a whole bunch of people. So like for example, I remember like hearing that when we had a gay club, VLVT, or at least they had several gay nights here. What happened was they said that drag performances were akin to prostitution, so you can't like tip the performers or something. So like you have to put like the money in like a basket or something, and you just have to like watch them perform, which was like super weird and super silly and super stupid. But I mean, that's sort of the county that exists here. And again, it is really strange, especially in a county that again, like we have a lot of ethnic diversity. So I mean, the place I'm at, for example, there's a lot of Middle Eastern folks, and there are a lot of Middle Eastern immigrants in particular. So they're from places like Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, and they are a lot of them are immigrants from basically these Middle Eastern countries. And then right next door to us is Garden Grove, which have basically a strong Vietnamese population. And then next to that is Santa Ana, which has a huge, specifically Latino and also specifically like Mexican immigrant community there. And then you also have Chinese communities and Korean communities sort of nestle in the Irvine and Tustin areas that are almost close by. So it's really like a hodgepodge of different cultures, but at the same time, it kind of still remains to be kind of the bastions of California's conservatism, especially in places like Huntington Beach, which can be super, super white and super scary to kind of be in sometimes because it's home to some really scary Nazi/extremist groups. So like I just know that like it's really strange again being in this area because it's like I didn't know how conservative it was until I moved out of Orange County, because it's like you don't really know the place that you're in, until you actually leave it. Like I just thought like that's just how things were. Like that's just that's how people are. And unfortunately, I think some of my family members, I mean, they're not people who are card carrying conservative folks, but they are conservative on some level where they're like, oh yeah, that's just how it is, and you just got to deal with it, blah 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 blah. And it's like, no, like I'm not going to deal with it. And it's especially hard growing up because as a teenager, like I wanted to be in an environment that was progressive, that allowed people to explore the arts and theater and all these other things. And I know that I wanted to express myself in that way, but at the same time, like I didn't have that outlet. And like I really wish that I had those mentors, and I really wish I had those like folks that you could find in a big city that you could probably look up to, that would allow you to do this. And so this was just something that I kind of, you know, regretted when I was sort of growing up, was just like there weren't those institutions, like major cultural institutions. Like yeah, we have the Sacred Strum, yeah, we have, you know, we have like points of interest um that are arty and stuff like that, but we never really had it like all over the place. And that's just because again, Orange County is this kind of suburban area. Now yeah, and even now it's just like I can kind of see the politics shift a little bit. So again, because like we have a larger like ethnic diversity here than what I had growing up, I think it's slightly changing, but a lot of the roots are still pretty kind of conservative. And it's just like, I don't know how to deal with that. Like, I don't know, just like, I mean, granted, like it's not something I encounter like going to the grocery store or something, but it's something that I just kind of I made peace with in a way. And it's like if I wanted that liberal cultural fix, I would just like hop over in my car and just go to like Silver Lake or something and just hang out and chill. That's just sort of how I dealt with it. But at the same time, it's like I wanted, like, my goal is to kind of like be in the hub where like all these like different cultural events are happening, being in the hub of like where all these people are getting together. And like Orange County is just hard because it's just super suburban. And so I think they have like a large like community of like families of like raising kids, and like a place like, you know, like other places that are that actually cater to more urban professionals and stuff like that. And so I think maybe that was something maybe that I didn't like, was this sort of like leave it to beaver culture, because it is very family oriented, versus a culture that's like, hey, like let's explore, let's learn the nightlife, let's do this, let's do that, and again, it wasn't something that I could kind of do on my own so much as something that I want to sort of change out later on, as hopefully as I get older. It's like, move to some of these urban centers and really like find my place in, a sea of folks that really kind of want to, sort of have the same values that I have. But then at the same time, it's like, even though I know that like I would fit better in a place like downtown LA or Silver Lake or other places, I kind of also like the idea of being like the hip progressive person that people can go to actually talk to like actually like learn from and to actually get to know. So like for example, you know, maybe doing reach out efforts in terms of being able to actually, get people to realize that there is a world outside of Orange County and there is a world outside of this orange curtain. And I think, to kind of put this in a nice summary, it's just, it's nice and boring, and nothing really happens. But then at the same time, it's boring and nothing really happens. So, I mean, that's just sort of how I feel toward it. And I'm just going to kind of continue to be here until I can like actually move and like, go to like an urban center, or maybe even, another state or something. I mean, who knows? Um, but it is interesting because like I did for a time live in another city like San Francisco, and even then I had some qualms with it. And it was specifically during the gentrification where a lot of what was promised of San Francisco happened to not be San Francisco. And that's because like I started to learn that people from like the Midwest and the South and more conservative places were moving to San Francisco. So it's not like they had, it's not like they took their values and suddenly changed overnight, but rather it just kind of melded into the culture. And you saw this with the overall gentrification that happened over there. So I mean, it just, unfortunately, I guess there is no perfect locale, but at the same time, like this is sort of what my goal is at the moment. So yeah, that's just kind of my spiel on growing up in Orange County and being here. Anyways, if you want to hear more from me to talk about more about my experiences, please hit like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully I can share more information about what it's like being me and being in my skin, and to kind of like continue to vlog like this. And maybe, who knows, maybe start moving into like instructional videos, who knows. But anyways, I hope you're all having a great week. I hope you have a great holiday season, and we will see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.